I guess, and I'll call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Mr. Hartwig,
Present.
Mr. Mulligan,
Here.
Mr. Robertson,
Here.
Dr. Goodwin, here, Mr. Soldani. We have quorum.
Right, I'll ask now if there are any corrections or additions to the minutes previously submitted for the meeting from September 18th, and if there are none, or are there any, I guess? Actually, I think it says like I've got to take public comments on that real quick. If there's any public comments on that, seeing none, then I'll accept your motion to accept to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, that takes us into open the public hearing, and I will swear in our witnesses then. So will all witnesses who intend to testify today please stand and raise your right hand so the board may swear you in. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matters pending before the hearing board today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you all. You may all be seated, and that takes us to item number 4, which is docket number C-24-23S, a short variance for certain teed. And I'll ask Mr. Cuthbertson to come forward and identify himself. So, which I already did, I guess, but that's all right.
Ben Cuthbertson.
And with that, I'll turn things over. I take it Shannon is sitting across from me smiling, so I'll take
Thank you. Morning, my name is Shannon Moore. I'm an air quality specialist here at the district. And for you this morning is Certainteed LLC. They operate a glass melting furnace and other equipment associated with the production of fiberglass insulation. Particulate matter emissions are controlled by venting exhaust from the furnace through a preconditioning scrubber with caustic soda injection and a dry electrostatic precipitator. The caustic soda injection and scrubbing system utilizes a human-machine interface to monitor and manage the particulate matter dust collected by the system. The electronic HMI device has failed and needs to be replaced. In order to replace the HMI, Certainteed needs to shut down and bypass the entire emissions control system, including the continuous emissions monitoring system and the continuous opacity monitoring system, which are on the main exhaust stack. District rules allow for excess emissions for up to 144 hours per year during maintenance of an add-on emissions control system. However, the emissions exemption for maintenance does not apply to visible emissions, which are limited to no more than 20% opacity. In the past, Certainteed has experienced visible emissions as high as 95% opacity during maintenance of the emission control system. Therefore, Certainteed is seeking relief from the visible emissions limits as well as the requirements to monitor emissions, since the SIMs and COMs provide these. Certainteed has requested a short variance from requirements of the applicable district rules and sections of the California Health and Safety Code, in addition to conditions of the subject permits. The requested short variance period would be for a consecutive 48-hour period to occur sometime between October 17th, 2024 and November 16th, 2024 inclusive. If granted, the variance would allow Certainteed to bypass the emission control system and the emissions monitoring systems while a human-machine interface for the emission control system is replaced. In addition, the variance would allow for visible emissions as high as 95% opacity. The district believes the required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Certainteed LLC be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 4 and 5. That concludes the district presentation.
Mr. Cuthbertson, is there anything you'd like to add or supplement? Or
No, I have a drawing here for these guys just so they know why the whole system has to be bypassed. I think I may have sent this to you already, but essentially there's a power line that runs from our main control center that gets split into this box for the HM, where the HMI is. The HMI is on the front panel, and the rest of it goes to the dry SP main panel. Once we shut this off, everything goes down. So that's the reason we need to shut it down. And then obviously if that main panel shut down, the EP, so we have
that makes sense to Staff,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and then Ben and I have talked about this several times.
I mean,
I just have a
intuitively, it
question.
kind of makes sense, so.
Is HMI, well, you work in this, is that commonly used for some reason?
Yeah, human machine interface, it's usually a computer screen where you can control the various aspects of the plant, the valves, motors, pumps. Yeah. So it's the way the operators
Yeah,
control them.
and just that term, is that?
Oh, yeah, it's very common.
Yeah, I think I'd never heard it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
HMI.
it's just a touch pad.
yeah.
You're like control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds kind of ominous.
Human machine, AI, all this other. Any other questions for either staff or for the petitioner?
How many maintenance hours have you used so far this year?
We're down to 65.
Okay. And you expect no more than 48 for this year?
Yeah. we do.
And question for staff, since this is a repair, does it fall under the maintenance of the
You are.
144 maintenance?
You're on site.
Okay, can't see the. Yes, it does. Well, I discussed it with our management and we, since it's an important part of the maintenance equipment, moving that material out of there and the HMI is critical to that. We consider it part of maintenance for the control. But that question came up for me personally, so I deferred to upper management to make that decision.
And then, so the HMI is not operational now. How are you controlling your emission?
Well, okay, so cost of- the scrubber still runs.
Yeah.
The scrubber still runs, so it's still knocking the dust down. That dust goes to the bottom of that chamber, and then that's moved. It's moved through this device, which is controlled by the HMI, into a screw conveyor, and then into our transporter system, which sends it back to the batch house. But because we can't control it, it's shut down. And so that dust is slowly piling up.
I see. So it's not being emitted, it's
It's not being emitted, it's being collected.
Got it.
But we
Okay.
can't just let it,
Yeah,
Right.
okay, okay.
It's a good way to put it. It's being
Yeah.
collected, it's just not being managed.
right.
Right,
It's not being emitted.
yeah.
No, that dust, the dust still goes down to
Okay, and it's not affecting your other emissions, your NOx?
no, it's not, it doesn't affect the NOx.
Ben, could you elaborate a little bit on that system where from the conveyor is completely enclosed back to the batch?
Right, so the way, in the past, before we had the rebuild, that dust was actually a hazardous waste. In order for us to reuse it, the system had to be a closed system. So hands off, no dumping it to a hopper or something like that and taking it back to the batch house. The ETSC required that it be a closed system. So it's a closed system. There's two sides. There's the EP side and there's the scrubber side. Both of those shunt their dust via screw conveyors into a transporter tank. And the transporter tank is pressurized every 3 minutes and it sends a slug of that collected dust back to the batch house silo.
Okay.
So we're in compliance there as well. Now, the dust is no longer hazardous waste, but it still goes back to the batch house in that same manner.
So how do you dispose of the dust
No, it doesn't get disposed of.
ever?
It gets reused. It gets recycled. It's a borosilicate glass furnace, and we take the boron. There's some boron in that dust that goes back to the batch house, and we reuse that.
And for how many minutes do you expect the heavy opacity for the visible emission?
We've asked for 48 hours. We typically never go, over 24. I don't.
But I mean, the really high, 90, like 95.
During that time frame, it's hard to say. We're going to watch it visibly and do our BEE readings. I don't think it's going to be more. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be more than 24 hours.
24 hours of 95%.
Well, it fluctuates based on our furnace. So it could go down to 65 up to 95.
It's all done in-house.
No, we have, well, our electrical engineers managing the replacement and the reinstall and et cetera. But we have contractors.
And if approved, will you start tomorrow? I mean,
We're gonna try to start tomorrow. The engineer's going on vacation, so
that's good. Yeah.
We'll have you relax and refresh.
Yeah.
Do you know why the HMI failed?
we think it was heat.
I
The
saw the AC.
yeah, the ACU, there's somebody coming in to replace either the compressor, I think it's the compressor or the fan, I can't remember which, but that's gonna get replaced as well.
You do regular maintenance on that AC unit?
Yeah, it's self-enclosed. Again, that's the only maintenance that we can do on it is to clean the filter on it. I mean, it's anything that needs to be removed and replaced is done by a local contractor, but it's not a real sophisticated air conditioner.
Good question. Anything else? All right. All right, hearing nothing else from the board, then I'll ask if there's any member of the public that wishes to comment on this matter.
No public comments and seeing none online.
Thank you. With all that being said, then is anybody willing to make a motion here?
I move to approve Certainty LLC's petition for short variance set forth in docket number C-24-23S with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. Variance shall be effective for a consecutive 48-hour period to occur sometime between October 17th, 2024 and November 16th, 2024 inclusive, or until the human machine interface for the emissions control system is replaced and the emissions control system has returned to compliant operation, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to the conditions on pages 4 to 5 of the staff report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. If you call the roll, please. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we're good. Go ahead. Sorry. Been a month off here.
Mr. Hartwig,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin. Yes. Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. All right, you're good to go. That takes us into item number 5, public comments. This time made available from comments from members of the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction, not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment?
No public comments and seeing none online.
Thank you. Hearing board comments, item number 6. Any comments by our esteemed colleagues here on the board? All right, seeing none. New business. I don't think we have any of that as well. Casella, anybody? I think we're good. Which takes us to 8, adjournment. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
I tried to run an efficient meeting, but we still got some great questions.